Hey everybody, this is Danny Silva with D Silva Designs, and I'm coming to you with another speed sketch slash painting sort of thing. Anyway, yeah, today I'm drawing Joker from the Death of the Family storyline. This is kind of a little bit different because I'm doing this piece for an art show. It's going to be a gallery showing. It's going to be the History of the Batman gallery showing, and it's curated by Londyn Jackson. She's also known as History of the Batman on Instagram. It's happening May 7th, and in South Spring Street, the Hive Gallery. And there's going to be a bunch of artists, anywhere from 15 to 20 different artists. It's going to be kind of a smaller event, very quaint. But Neal Adams is going to have pieces on display, Jamie Johnson, Simon Delart, We Arts, Kelley Jones, and a lot more, and myself. So Londyn hit me up and let me know that she was looking for people to do pieces for her, and so that's kind of what I'm doing here. It's going to be an art show that displays the different Batmans from different eras and so on and so forth. So you're going to have examples of Batman from the Adam West show and the newer Dark Knight Returns with Christian Bale. So it's just going to be basically any representation of Batman through the ages. And you're going to have different artists doing those different pieces. And so that's what I'm doing here. Hope you can kind of make it out. Come check it out. It's going to be cool. Opening night, like I said, is May 7th, and that'll be starting at 8 p.m. Officially it ends at 11, but it may go on until 12 depending on how many people are there. I'll probably show up for opening night just to check it out, see what's going on. But yeah, it should be fun. Again, it's downtown LA. On the weekends, the gallery is going to run all the way through to the end of the month. The exact date is May 28th is when it ends. And there's going to be admission on the weekends because they charge like a $5 admission on the weekends, but during the week it's free, so that's a plus. And yeah, should be a good time. Anyway, back to what I'm doing here. I started off with my light blue Coley Grace pencil, and that's what I always start off with. I fast forwarded through that part pretty quick in the beginning because you can't really see it. It's hard to make out. And then once I got everything kind of laid out lightly, I went ahead and penciled it in, and now I'm going in with my brush pen, and I'm filling in the darker areas and things like that. Doing the details on the hammer. For the very fine details, I'll use a multi-liner or a fountain pen, something that is pretty fine. You'll see in a minute here I start to do that a little bit more on his face just because it's smaller. I was going for kind of an upward looking angle, kind of like he's standing over you and looking down. Hope that translates well. And now I'm getting into the heavily shaded areas that are basically the shadows that are cast from his head. The light source is going to be overhead, kind of off to the right. And then I'm doing the folds and things. I wanted it to have a lot of shadow, which is something that I don't do a lot in my art, and I need to try to add more black, basically. And even though it seems simple, it's actually pretty hard because you have to pay attention to light sources and things like that. So a lot of thought has to go into it, especially if you're going to lay that much down, lay a lot of black down like some people do. Mike Mignola is a good example, and Charlie Adler does a really good job doing that. He does the Walking Dead comics, and Mignola does Hellboy. So if you're not familiar with their work, check them out. You'll dig it. It seems simple, but try to emulate it without looking at a reference or anything like that. It can be difficult. And I get so caught up in using color type of thing that I end up using my colors to add a lot of the shade, and so I get away from using the black, which is something, like I said, I'm trying to get more into. Here what you're seeing, I'm using a brush. I used the brush to go ahead and fill in a lot of the larger areas, and now I'm doing ink wash. I don't do that very often, but I'm using a carbon ink to try to get get a little bit more tone into it before I add color. I kind of get lost a little bit in the ink wash process here, forgetting that I'm going to do color at all. So I start to go over areas a little bit, and you'll see that I kind of change gears because I forget, oh, this can be in color. Sometimes when you get in that zone, you just kind of focus on what you're doing, and then you can lose the entire focus of the piece. So now I'm just going in with going over areas that I've already done, doing lighter and lighter shades of the ink wash. I'm using a Pentel brush pen here, and this brush pen is filled with an actual gray wash. It's a little dark, so I don't usually I use that just for stuff that I want to appear black, or dark, not black, but just a little bit lighter than the black, basically. So I'm going ahead and erasing something that I had in the background, and right now I believe I'm getting my ink together. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Taking my sweet time, that's for sure. Anyway, go over some of the different artists that are going to be at this show. I already said Neal Adams, Kelley Jones, Tom Hodges is going to be there, Daniel Dahl, Sam Carter, Simon Delart, Andrew Hunt, Orlando Arocena. I don't know who that is. I hope I pronounced the name properly. Anthony Cavanagh, Allan Johnson, Fabio Valle. I follow him on Instagram, so I know who that is. And myself, up to this point. So, yeah, those are some of the people that are going to be showing up. I don't know who is actually going to show up at the opening night because some of them are in different countries, different states, so I know I'll be there. That's about it. Anyway, so now I'm going in and I'm adding a little bit more black, some more details, just some cross-hatching with my Pentel brush pen, and that's the one that's filled with gray wash. And then I step away a little bit. And this is where I start to get lost in the whole gray wash thing. I kind of forget that I'm going to be using color, and so I'm just approaching the entire thing like it's going to be a gray wash, and I kind of, right here is where I switch gears and go, you know what, I don't know why I'm doing this. I could just do this with watercolor and add color to it. So I'm going to wait for that to dry, that portion, and go ahead and add some color to the Joker here with my Copic markers. Yeah, the first color I was using it was running dry, a little dry, so kind of went in sparingly, and then now I'm going over it with another blue to try to soften up those areas, extend the life of the other marker that was kind of drying out on me. I don't like to fill very often, especially when I'm recording. Alright, now I'm just kind of going over, not a whole lot of color in this piece, especially with all the black, so it's not very difficult. Using some warm grays on the face, and also some blues, pinks, reds. Now I'm thinking about what else to do, so I start in with the hair. Adding some red to the lips and around the hairline, detailing the hammer with some cool grays. Now I'm adding just a little bit of brown to the gloves because they don't need very much color. Now what I'm going to do for the background here is I like to just kind of let the watercolors wash themselves out. I'm doing this on 140 pound watercolor paper. So what I did was I just basically dropped a bunch of water in there, and now I'm just dripping the watercolor on, just to let it. I like that washy, blendy look, so gives it just kind of a loose feel, and you can see the paper started to bow really fast. And what I'm using as far as watercolors, I'm not using traditional tube or palette. I'm actually using watercolor dyes. They're very, very saturated and pretty much ready to go out of the tube. Sometimes you're going to need to water them down, but now after that, just to kind of blend it and make it look a little funky, because I'm going to be adding blood all over this thing because he just finished taking somebody out with the hammer. So I'm going in and basically the same color that I used in the background, just in a higher concentration. I'm adding the blood to the hammer, and then I'm going to go over that probably with markers and some gouache. But you'll see. Just kind of I splattered all over just to make it look real messy, kind of funky. And you can see I'm using a little lid for like a yogurt or just some random Tupperware lid that I found, and I'll put some gouache on there. Then so I'm using I think I had some leftover fire red gouache. Typically I would use like a crimson or something a little darker, but I had this leftover on this lid, and I just figured I'd add some water to it and kind of go through it a little bit. Now I'm going in with some whites, and this is just some cheap white gouache. It's actually, I think it's Artist Loft. I think it's like the generic brand of gouache you can get from Aaron Brothers. And honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. When it dries, not on paper if you use it very lightly, but when you put it on a palette or something, it tends to crack and fall apart. And it's not the best. I use typically Winsor Newton. It's just I have this stuff laying around, so that's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that, but I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope to see you at the exhibit. I'll be out there, and come by and say hello. Okay? Thanks for watching. Take it easy.